The caves are dark, and you, as a small thing, keep digging deeper, trying to find your way out after getting lost. But each tight squeeze just gets tighter and more progressive as you feel the pain at the sharp rocks underneath you, and it just seems to become a crushing force as you continue through the pass. And from what you know, this is a canal, and hopefully your exit from the cave after your experience. You woke up here. No gear, no headlight, nothing. You were taken in by some creatures. Unbeknownst to you, you have no idea what they look like. They grabbed you in the night during your mining excursion, trying to pan for gold, which seemed apparent, and especially now, with the gold rush in Nahanni Valley, you are likely to become a millionaire. But now you're here, underneath the earth, squeezing through these tiny halls, and what likely will be your tomb. And as you keep progressing and keep moving forward, you keep hearing them behind you. And you finally make a breakthrough minutes later. You see light. No, it's not the sun, but moonlight. As you see that this is the end of your trial, and the final squeeze you make through, suddenly you find yourself kilted, stopped. Something's grabbing you, and you're inches away from freedom. But you manage to kick it away, and its high-pitched scream fills the air outside, and within these cave walls it's deafening. As you manage to scrape your body through, cuts and lacerations riddle your body. You make it out, only to find that you're on a cliff, 30 feet up. The only option is to jump, or attempt to climb down, which you have no idea what these creatures can do to you. And yet, in your haltering, while stopped, you feel the pain of something grabbing your head. And soon enough, pain turns to writhing aches and everything before you black out. The last thing you see is that your body falls to the ground and you are headless. And this is the Valley of Headless Men. And welcome back, everybody, to another Delve Deeper episode. I'm your host, Joey, and I'm here with my co-host, Nate.
That's me, with my head.
Exactly. And come follow us as we search through the files for a deeper understanding, finding, and meaning behind some of the world's greatest mysteries, hauntings, and cryptids. Come with us as we attempt to take a delve deeper. And welcome back, everybody. I hope you really enjoyed that, and that was a lot of fun. But today, we're talking about the Valley of Headless Men, or the Nahanni Valley, which is, this is going to be a hauntings episode. And I know
Yeah,
that there's so many different things going on around this one, Nate, that it might be arguable what it falls
I
under.
know. It kind of falls under all the ones we talk about. It's a little bit haunting, a little bit paranormal, a little bit cryptid.
A little bit
Shoot, even a
alien.
little bit alien.
Yeah. Well, this one I specifically chose because I really, really like Nahanni Valley and the Valley of Headless Men stories, because it really does have everything put together. It has governments getting involved. It has, Men in Black visits. It has retrieval sites nearby. All sorts of different stuff going on, from
Right.
literally spiritual beings and everything, and it gets crazy. It's something that I just have to go through myself because I love it, and I just want to go through it with you guys as well. And so yeah, come with us, guys, as we take a delve deeper on this one, because it's gonna be crazy. And first off, I'm kind of going to give you guys a location here. So, in the northwestern territories of Canada, this is where it lies in one of the national parks reserves, and it's called Nahanni Valley, Nahanni Valley, and it is home to the most extreme things I've ever seen, because it's not only just like inhospitable, by the way, due to like it is jagged. There is so many like sharp rocks and like
Oh
all
yeah.
these different rugged terrains, extreme weather, predators like bears and fucking different kinds of cats and whatnot. Like there is so much
Pretty to
there.
look at.
Yeah, absolutely, from far.
Yeah, exactly. Pictures are great.
Pictures look good. Am I the one
Yeah.
taking the pictures? Absolutely fucking not.
Thanks, Google Earth.
Yeah, for real. And the thing is that over decades, there's been so many people, travelers, explorers that just go missing, and they turn up dead and beheaded. Not dead or beheaded. There's so
No,
many
no.
reports that just say dead and beheaded, and the number of decapitated bodies found within it has been so many that that's why they call it the Valley of Headless Men.
And just to kind of put it into perspective for our listeners, when you say this is a large unhospitable land, I found out researching this for the first time that it's 4 times as large as Germany, with maybe 50,000 people living there, the whole Northwest Territories.
Yep.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I mean, some of the predators there are actually like grizzly bears. They got timber wolves. They got
Oh, yeah.
some real contenders up there. And they'll pop up a little more when we go through like the individual deaths and stuff. But like,
They might
there's
have a
so
Sam
many here.
Squanch.
That's also a possibility. We're gonna be talking about a lot of stuff here, and I'm gonna let you kind of take the reins here, Nate, and say, well, what do you think we should start with? Where do we even begin in the Valley of Headless Men here, man?
So, I think a good spot to begin would actually be as early as I could find. That it went back was like 1904 was one of the first incidences. But these are the incidences that gave the valley its name. You know, these are the start of those incidences, and it was 1904 with Willie Frank and Charlie McLeod.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they went into the valley to find gold because, of course, you know, gold rush was huge. It was starting to finally die down in some areas like California, but it was picking up everywhere else. So it was kind of like right in that little scope before it ended. uh but they went and they found a bunch of gold, I guess. Like, they, according to them, they found a bunch of gold, and they were trying to like kayak back home down the Flat River, I believe it is.
yeah, yep.
Yep.
A
And then the
dangerous river, by the way.
yes. Oh yeah, rapids everywhere, rocks, jagged things. Not to mention, who knows what lives in that water, you know what I mean?
I'm just saying there might
But
be
the
a
boat
hole in the sea.
capsized.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
also
they
have that.
lost a bunch of it.
The funny part about this entire gold rush, by the way, is when it started, there were people that managed to start from the bottom at first, and they came back with what was rumored to be like, thousands upon thousands of dollars, which at the time, in the 1930s, 1940s, $100 went a long way. It's estimated
Oh
to
yeah,
be like the
absolutely.
estimated gold in that area at the time was close to $6 million of today's money.
Yeah,
Just lying
that's a
around.
lot of money. That Yeah, exactly. That's a lot of money to be like. Imagine having that in your boat, right? Imagine you have $6 million US dollars in your boat, and then it flips over. You think you're gonna die. You wash up. Money's just gone. All that work and
Yeah,
effort you did to dig up that money, gone.
yeah. I'm looking up the
Oh,
fucking inflation calculator for this because I need to know.
Right, yeah, exactly. And they said they found a lot, like, but they lost some and they got some supplies. Like, they made it back to camp, they got some supplies, and they tried to go back to that spot, but they ended up not finding it. Like, it was just gone. They went back to that exact same spot and it was just gone. And so they went home the next day, and two of the brothers, Willie and Frank, were like, no, we got to go back. But Charlie was like, no, I don't think it's worth the risk. So they invited their buddy Robert instead, because, I guess you
Yeah.
can't do it without three people. I'm not sure the logistics on that.
I have no idea, but for right now, by the way, that $6 million that they found there is equate to almost $1.2 billion.
With a B?
Yeah, worth of all that
Man.
gold that they had there. I took all the gold that was measured there, and yeah, it could have been around 1.2 worth of money at this point within the gold
Yeah.
pricing. But I could also,
So
this could also be lying to me. I have no idea.
well, if it is that much, I mean, it's still not what United Healthcare made in profit, but we won't talk about that. Anyway,
Oh, they 100% found that guy. Wink, wink.
yeah, I yeah, I definitely have thoughts and opinions on that.
I also have thoughts and opinions, but we're not here to talk conspiracy.
No.
Not on deep,
No.
not on a delve deeper. We've never ever been on any of that.
We explicitly have said on here several times we trust our government.
This is like our gaming stream. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. We found his jacket in the woods, but he was still wearing it at McDonald's. Weird.
Oh yeah, you just, when you're going to McDonald's, always take your handgun, your manifesto, and everything. Like that's what I fucking do. Wait, Nate, you don't do that?
You
Come on,
don't do
dude.
that? How are you gonna order
with the
without
times,
your manifesto in hand?
Yeah. You gotta preach where you're going, brother. Opportunities.
Right. But what's even funnier about this story with the McLeod brothers and their friend Robert Weir, Wier, Weir is how I'm pronouncing it.
Yeah.
They were gone for weeks, and Charlie, who stayed home, was just like, "Oh, they struck it rich, and they're just digging it up." And then a year goes by, and Charlie is still saying, a whole year. They lived together until this point. Whole year goes by, and he's like, "Oh, they must have just struck it rich and are living it up." Finally, after 2 years with no word from his brothers or their friend, 2 years, Charlie gets 4 townsmen to go, and they go find these 3 men, and they're searching up and down the flat river for signs of life, and they can't really find much. And then downstream on the South Nahanni region, I guess, of the park, the southern region of the park, in these massive canyons, they found like a really dark canyon that stretched for like 10 miles. And then right, like, as they followed it down 10 miles, they found a second canyon, and in that canyon they found a tent. And what's really crazy is this was in fact Frank and William's tent. No, not William. Willie, yeah.
It's Willie
and
Frank. I think it's McLeod. I've been told
McLeod.
McLeod and McLeod, so I don't know which one it is. So if anybody wants to come at us, don't do it. We already got the government on our ass. Don't worry.
But here is where it gets crazy. Near this tent, by some trees in this canyon, they found a body in front of the tent with no head, saying it looked like it had been torn away. The body was burnt, and he had an arm, like his right arm was like stretched out, and just beyond the reach where it looked like he was stretching towards was a rifle perched against the tree.
Yeah.
And then they found
third dude, their companion, Weir.
Yeah.
Just gone.
Just gone. Yeah, never found him.
Never found that dude.
They did find the other body, basically torn in half, because it says half in the tent, half outside the tent. And then
Which,
again, once they moved the blanket off the top half, no head, and again looks like it was torn. That is such specific phrasing that happens in so many of these incidences.
yeah, it's not like, oh, somebody surgically cut this or with like a knife or a blade. Like, they specifically are like, okay, this thing is like, you can tell that the bones were ripped off, and then they
Yeah.
find these like heads way down, and like, okay, I'll give this dude a little bit of leeway with being like, oh, my brothers and their friend are rich somewhere else, you know, because like, thing is like, you also got to
Two
remember like
years.
this. It's just back in like 17
This was
something like that.
1904.
Yeah,
So this was
1904. You're right. You're right.
1904.
Because it was 1908 when they discovered everything, huh?
Yeah, yep. It was a few years later.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into it again later, but Charlie does go back like an idiot.
Yeah. Well, as any great horror movie person, I'm surprised there's not a movie about the Valley of Headless Men.
Dude, for real. That's why I was so surprised I never heard of it. I
Such a
live in
good.
Montana. Like,
It's a good ass story, even with these are real situations. They're not even fake. This is just actual like documented deaths that we don't
yeah.
usually we don't cover that. We don't really cover that, and so like these are real dead people that got like
Yeah.
again. What the one report on the third dude is like, yeah, he was ripped in half. How the fuck do you?
Yeah.
How are you just gonna say that and not elaborate? What do you mean he was ripped in half? How do you
Well,
rip someone in half?
don't you realize, Joey? It's the common instinct of the random wild predator to remove the head specifically only and take that. Don't you know that
Okay,
happens all the time?
you know what? You're right. The wolves stood up and they took him limb by limb and just ripped him in half. And then they set it on fire. They set stuff on fire because
Yeah,
wolves are
yeah,
canonically
burned.
known
Didn't
to
talk about
burn
that.
things. By the way, right? Like, come on,
Yeah.
we all know that, right? It's
Well,
a known fact about wolves. They also
if you
are
get
known arsonists.
wolves are known arsonists. That's
Quoted,
hilarious.
man. But
Quoted.
the thing that like makes me feel the weirdest about these is they just pretty much straight up were like, oh, yep, well, the guy that's missing. Yeah, he must have killed them in their sleep. That's the only way it could have happened. Yep, he took the money and ran. And we're like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. I literally have this pulled up because it's what force is needed to behead someone? Needed to rip someone's head off. Yeah, how much force does it take to rip a person's head off?
More than I could generate.
Yeah. So pretty much, it was said. This guy says, this guy on this forum says, if I grab someone by the neck using a rope that was tied with 240 kilograms, I weigh 80, and I jump 4 meters into water into 3 meter. Like he discusses like an entire thing. He was like, so he would essentially need 9,408 joules worth of force. That's the
That's a
same
fucking lot.
amount as a car moving at 27 kilometers.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. like I've been hit by a car that's going about 15, which I believe is around what that is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because
it
kilometers
hurts.
it's about 16 miles an hour. Which
Yeah.
you would have to be driving with a steel chain, by the way, to rip a person's head off like that. And so
Exactly. I'm a big guy, and as a big guy who's been hit by a car that was going 15, dude, I was in the hospital for a while. Like it hurt. Like 15 doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, it is once you experience it.
well, 15 is something like you got to realize that like an average human cannot even run more than about a mile an hour, something like
Right?
that.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, and that's like constant flow. And I know that people can run a mile in like 12 minutes, 6 minutes, stuff like that, like perfect miles and stuff, like, or even
Right.
Usain Bolt with the fastest man alive type shit. Like, it's possible, but man, to know that amount of joules is required, which isn't even accounting, you would need the strength of a car pulling you that much.
Yeah, and
That's a
now
lot.
think about this part, Joey. That's just the head. Don't forget, they said the man's
The entire
body was
body.
torn in half.
They just ripped something in half.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah,
don't
that's a
know who
person.
thought that this was like cool. And again, we're not even to the supernatural part. This is just actual facts.
And these aren't children or teenagers or
They're
even
grown men.
and yeah,
They're
exactly.
grown men.
Yeah. It's insane. And men in good health, by the way. They weren't sickly or, decrepit. Like, for this time and age, they were in good health for that time and age.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and
the craziest thing, dude, is like it doesn't stop here.
No. That was incident 1.
And a lot of the things at this point, by the way, so by like 1917, that time period, there is like already rumors of people being like, oh, there's like a bunch of warlike natives that are sitting there beheading people and doing this and that.
Yeah.
So like they were like, oh, it's like the natives. It's just like there's like 6 or 7 of them in a tribe and they just live here and they just kill people and rip their head off.
Yeah, the Naha tribe, right?
Yeah. But this, I also have an entire portion on them where they're like, oh yeah, these are just like pretty chill dudes. That they don't hurt anybody. They don't do anything. They just kind of like move on, do their stuff. And people that have talked to this tribe within certain portions, like of people that have somewhat, right? Because like, the oral histories and the name itself is very important, as like there's kind of a certain proof that the different indigenous tribes dwelt here within the Nahanni Valley, but the Naha people simply vanished at some point. Just gone.
Yeah, just gone, just left. The Naha people, whom this valley was named for, just disappeared, overnight, it says.
Mm-hmm. And they were like, did they migrate? Did they succumb to a disease? Or did they just move on? Who knows? Are they hiding somewhere? It's like, there's a lot of places they could have been hiding. Don't get me wrong. But, like, it's so weird. Because, like, again, it's one of those things where, like, it's just gone. They're just gone. And, like, everybody's like, oh, speculate. Oh, they're probably, like, moved on or did this. Let me just say this. It's the same thing with the, like, Roanoke tribe. How does a whole group of people just disappear?
Yeah,
and there's so many theories surrounding this. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, there is. I was going to say, what I don't think people realize is it's that phrase overnight that actually escalates the situation. It's one thing to see that in a movie, a TV show, something like that, but to actually experience it, a community of people, not single person, an entire group of people, you saw them less than 12 hours ago, and that entire group disappeared with no trace. Because they were like, maybe they just moved on. Never looked like they moved on. You know what I mean? They were just gone.
And let me put it this way. So, they were considered a large tribe, which typically a large tribe is anywhere from 250 to 2,500 people.
Right.
Not
so
a small amount.
No, 200 people plus overnight.
Yes.
Gone.
Just gone. And we've seen this before. There's so many. There's actually some theory I want to go over real fast. And one that I really like is that they succumb to the same fate as the Roanoke tribe.
Right. Where they were just basically... Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. No. It's just like the entire thing just kind of happened within, like, because early on, this one was like 1587, that they just kind of disappeared pretty soon after, right? But one of the main theories is that there was this like this is what kind of ties it into not just haunting, but like transdimensional alien stuff. Is a lot
Yeah,
of the
paranormal
people of
stuff.
that kind of range believe that it was the same thing that took like those people on the boat that we talked about earlier in an earlier episode. That like pretty
Yes.
much one they saw a craft and just like it scooped them up. And I don't know. It just scooped them up and took them. So this is why I tie it in here a little bit with the alien theory, because like I like it a lot, and I think it makes more sense to me that with the like whole belief in God and seeing fires in the sky, like that's a very
Demons.
powerful thing. Exactly,
Yep.
like very very powerful thing. But another theory that I like even more is the underground people theory,
Oh yes, the mole
because
people. It's not
it
specifically the mole people, but it's basically the mole people.
yeah. So it's so insane to me because there's so many things that kind of tie in with this and the Nahanni Valley, because it's like these creatures underneath, like there's thousands. I don't know if you guys know this, but thousands of people go missing all the time within various national parks around not only just the US but the world, by the way.
Oh yeah.
And those disappearances also occur over some of our largest and the world's largest cave systems that are unexplored because we can't explore them, by the way.
Yeah.
um and
Kaboom.
it's really weird. It's so weird because like the thing that I really like about this theory specifically with the underground people is that there's like we have no idea where these things pop up or where they go. You know, there's plenty of people that have gone caving and stuff that find human bones and remains underneath the earth, and like thousands of them, right? And they're like, how do you pull bodies through a small opening like this, right? And like some of them have like teeth marks and all this other stuff, and it's like there's so much that goes on with this kind of theory that I love it so much, especially here when it's like if we have a supernatural creature that is just like so much stronger than us, it can just it just squeeze into a hole or whatnot, you know. But from the looks of everything in reality, like having access to go underground and just kind of move throughout these systems, that's where we get like caves and mountainsides and stuff like that. Like we can see the part that we can move through, but if there's something that can move through it better than us, it has access to so many different exits and holes and ports and stuff that we'd never even be able to know. So it's just one of those series I love about this and like the people within it, because it kind of gives me that feeling like if you had like a food source, right? Like these underground people had a large food source and they're picking them off one by one. The amount of people that could be there would be insane, and the amount of like I said, like the amount of underground peoples compared to us, I don't know. Who knows? We don't know how many there could be or whatnot, but in theory, for me, I think it'd be very very possible for them to just uptake and uproot and just grab a bunch of people. But that's me. I also think the alien theory is just as beautiful. I love it a lot, and I think it's awesome. But we're gonna go ahead and kind of get into the 1917 discovery of Martin Jorgensen, a Swiss prospector, and his body was discovered, obviously decapitated, next to the remains of what his cabin was. And he built a cabin just off the shore of this river, and pretty much he was there because he was getting into the gold rush, and most people had already told him by this point about the other people that had died and other people that had been decapitated. um, and he said, I don't give a fuck. So he went up there by himself because he didn't want anybody else to go up there and steal all the gold, and he knew that he was going to get millions and millions and millions of dollars just because he was brave enough to do it himself. So
He
it
was
was
so
supposed that he did it.
adamant.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was supposed that he did strike gold within the vicinity of where he was, but you got to remember when he was found. Again, his cabin's burned on the ground.
You know, I'm realizing the McLeod brothers found gold. Mr. Jorgensen found gold. They were all murdered, heads ripped off, and burned. Are we sure this isn't leprechauns?
I don't know if you've ever seen Leprechaun in the Hood, but like I feel like that's a pretty good thing. Who knows? Maybe underground people are leprechauns. They just don't want people touching their fucking gold. I get it. I wouldn't want it either. Just saying.
Yeah, dude. When he pogo sticked on that guy's chest, that was a defining
That
moment
was
in
what
horror.
split him in half. Yeah.
The pogo stick. We solved it. It only took 100-something years, Joey.
That's it. We've cracked this case. I think we've delved deep enough. I'm just kidding. We're not even like halfway through all this, dude. And like the whole thing.
Oh no.
Is like, again, there are so many theories of like the prospectors just killing one another. It's just like, what do you mean?
Yeah, every theory was like animals or somebody killed them for the gold, but we don't know what fingerprints are yet, so oh well. Like,
we know how to determine what happened to his head, but not enough to know who.
What is so crazy and hilarious but semi-insane to me is Jorgensen was only found, 8 years later?
Yeah.
After the McLeod brothers? And the police were straight up just like, no, they're not connected. But these guys are both headless and burned and in the same area. No, not connected.
Canadian police were like, hey, I don't think this guy's the same kind of guy. It's like,
this guy here's not a fucking hockey fan, and I could tell the last guy, he was a hockey fan. Trust me, a hockey fan knows a hockey fan when he smells.
I think it was a moose, you know? You know how the moose get up here. They're silly little guys, but...
A drunk moose stole my wife, and I will never forgive. No, I'm just kidding.
I just was never the same after the divorce, you know? What you gonna do? You know, what you gonna do? It's like, I don't know what they were thinking or why they thought this is, like, not connected or what not. But, like, that is so obvious. That wasn't, like, it wasn't, like, nobody was, like, you know, you remember those, like, 3 bodies we found before? Like,
less than 10 years ago?
This feels pretty similar, you know? Like, I feel like this isn't too crazy, you know, not too, no, they were like, you know what, this is a completely different incident. I don't know what to call this. I think they're killing each other up here. I'm gonna be honest.
It's obviously just pure anarchy. Jesus.
I don't know. And that's one that pisses me off a lot because it's like, the funny part too is like, they wrote, the McLeod brothers, like, they were like, oh, writing each other every once in a while, and the last thing he heard is like, oh, we struck gold, baby, you know, and that's why his whole thing was like, oh, they're probably living it up somewhere and just left me here, I guess. It's like, okay, if you had there's no cell phones, there's no way you even know who or what happened to your brother, so you just kind of have to like estimate. The thing was, is like,
I'm gonna send a telegram.
It took months to even get letters and stuff like that out. So like, you can kind of believe it, be like, oh, like, you're kind of daydreaming, you know? It's like, you know, like, you kind of, if you ever think about somebody from like school and elementary and stuff, you're like, I wonder what they're up to. And like, you kind of like think about what they were like, oh, they're kind of silly, maybe they're a comedian, you know, like, that was all they had. So like, for them, it's like, I understand why portionally they are kind of like, oh, well, this is probably what happened. But on the other hand, it's like, come the fuck on, dude. This is related.
But it's also Canada in the early 1900s. I don't think they had like a Vegas equivalent at the time too. So
I don't.
They're just living at the saloon.
I have bought my drinks and I feel good now. It's like, okay, and your brother has found the cabin. Man, that sucks. I also love his reaction to it. Like, he goes up there, because I think we can kind of go forward and kind of talk more about him going up there himself.
Yeah.
Because I gotta find where I put it. Because, again, he goes up there himself.
Yeah. 19... Was it 26?
I want to say... I'm trying to find it now. I'm blanking.
I know, me too. I have it written down. I want to say it was the 1926 one, because 1921 was John O'Brien. And John O'Brien went back to check traps, and he told his partner, "I'll be back in 9 days," and then he wasn't.
Yeah, and then they were just like, "Huh." I love that one specifically because I have some stuff on that one too, where he was on record saying to reporters at the time, he was like, "I bet that bastard went and stole all the gold. Son of a bitch. He took it.
Yeah.
And he struck it, and he left me here. What a piece of shit." And then, like, that was it. Just never found him from what I'm reading on my paper. Never found the guy.
You found it?
I can't. I have no idea where it's at in my notes here.
So it was 1926. It was when Annie Lafferty camped out overnight there and was gone the next morning.
Yeah, because he was like, you guys are a bunch of pussies. I'm gonna sleep up here myself. And then they were like, everybody that was like, yeah, no.
That was Charlie.
Yeah, Yukon. It was at Yukon Fisher in 27?
I believe so, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they were just, God.
Just like, you guys are pussies. I bet I could do it. Fucking dies.
Literally, he's just like, everybody's like, "Hey, dude, you don't want to go up there. There's like a bunch of dead people found headless." And he's like, "You guys are just trying to get all the gold for yourself. I've got this. I'm a real," and then just like gone. Like, all right, bye. Goodbye.
Should have fucking wrote a book called How to Be a Statistic.
Yeah. The next one we have is 1931. Phil Powers.
Yeah, that's the Phil Bowers. Yeah, that's the guy that was like...
remains were discovered in the ashes of his cabin.
Yeah. And they're like, "Oh, it's probably an animal." Like, excuse the fuck out of you? Yeah, he was already dead and someone burnt the cabin.
Yeah, which a lot of these exactly are just like, well, somebody burned this place to the ground and just took the gold. I mean, what else? There's nothing else that's ever happened here. And so they were just, the RCMP were just like, "Oh, it was probably just a faulty stovepipe."
I'm picturing a wolf wearing a Canadian Mountie outfit with a Zippo in one hand and a bottle of gasoline in the other. It just says wolves are arsonists.
I was just gonna say he's got a fucking Marlboro red hanging out, and he's like, "We got another one."
They'll never fucking know.
They'll never know. They just wipe their dirty paws off. They're like, "What the? What? It was the wolves."
Gets caught one time, looks dude dead in the eyes. They'll never believe you.
No, please, my legs. Just like, what is that? It smells like oil. What? Oh God! And that's the last thing he ever sees. But Phil Powers, for what it's worth, was likely murdered, is what they were saying. Likely?
Yeah.
Which,
likely.
Okay, sure.
He probably got killed pretty fucking horrifically.
Yeah. Well, from what I can see, I'm gonna be honest, Dave. It looks pretty horrific. I don't know what to say about this, but this one's crazy.
Love all our friends in Canada.
I fucking guess, man. What the hell is up with the fucking police up there, dude? But
they're too nice. Oh, nobody I know would have fucking done this. It had to be wild animals. We live in a society, people.
Bears. Them damn arsonist bears. I'm telling you. Bear. And moose. It's the moose, dude.
Oh yeah, they're getting drunk on all the apples and stuff.
So, in 1928, one prospector named Angus Hall ventured ahead of his party, and he was just never seen again. By the way,
Yeah,
that's another guy.
He was like, I'll go check it out, guys." They're like, "Okay." They catch up to where he should be. Gone.
Yeah,
Didn't make a noise. There was no screaming.
Yeah, he was going up to check and make sure the terrain was good. He was like, "Oh, hey, I'm gonna head up there. You guys stay here. I'll be back in like, I think they said on record it was like an hour." He's like, "Give me an hour."
Yeah.
And then within the hour, they just never saw him again.
Never
And
again.
another pair of prospectors, Joe Mulholland and Bill Pierre, disappeared in 1936, and they just never found. And the only thing that they ever discovered was their little cabin, which was again burned.
Yeah.
It was burned down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. That one was 1936, and again, it seems to be prospectors. Like, this has been prospector. Like,
Why?
it sounded more and more like
first off,
leprechauns.
Imagine sitting there, you're like, well, you know what? I noticed that if we fall asleep, we die. I don't think we should be sleeping. And then, like, it took them almost 40 years to be like, I think if we just come up here during the day and then leave, I think we'll be good. I mean,
they were.
And they just were. They were just better. They're like, yeah, so.
Fucking Freddy Krueger lives out in the fucking Northwest Territories of Canada.
Yeah, apparently. So, okay, I love Annie Lafayette so much.
Yes.
Because,
she's fucking crazy.
In 1926, she just went missing from her hunting party.
Just disappeared again. Just.
Yeah. She got lost in the wilderness and just disappeared. And months later, an Indian guy by the name of Big Charlie, which, what a name, Big Charlie.
Big Charlie.
Yeah, and he was claimed to see the woman climbing a hill while totally naked. She lost her, he's like, oh, she lost her mind. And she just became another one of the victims of the Nahanni Valley. But this is where we get into kind of the haunting
spoopy
part of these things, because a lot of people speculate that that's her ghost.
Ooh.
That, like, her ghost is wandering the forest trying to find her way out. Which, I mean, if you saw, like, an apparition, it would probably look naked.
I mean, yeah.
Just saying.
It is kind of strange now that I think about it that so many ghosts are depicted with clothes. Like, clothes don't have a soul. Like...
I just wear them because I like to be that way. You know, I'm more of like a popped collar kind of ghost instead. You know.
Dude, I'm totally the opposite. I like, anybody that sees my TikTok will know. I like, me and shirts. Just, you know, we don't get along.
Oh, and here's a little interesting fact. So. The McLeod brothers were not really there's some people that were like, they weren't really headless because they had to be, but the fact of the matter is they had to be identified by the remnants of hair that was left on their skull.
Yeah. Like, there was a bunch of witnesses that said they were headless. Sure, there's no way to fact check that now, but it was more than 3 people sharing a consistent story. Because it was like five dudes that went up there.
Oh, let's just go into another one. In 1945, a miner from Ontario, whose name is just lost to time.
Ernest Sabard or whatever, right?
I have no idea. In my research, it says this man is not named. But he was found dead in his sleeping bag.
In mine, it says Ernest Sabard, but I don't know if that's factual. Like I said, a lot of these were really sporadic, but I think this is Ernest Sabard.
A lot of the reports are just, like, guessing. Like, there's somebody that went up and they just assumed that he's dead because nobody's seen him. So, like, there's a lot of reports that I have that are just like, oh, we know who this guy is because of this, and some are just like speculation. So take it with grain of salt, pretty much. But again, his head was never found.
Yeah, found in
And
his sleeping bag, decapitated, right next to
oh,
the river.
here's another one. Right. Another trapper succumbed to the inhospitable wilderness. His name was John O'Brien, and he was found
Yep.
frozen next to his campfire, which was lit.
Yeah.
By the way.
What's weird is they were like, it's like he was flash frozen, and I'm like, that's fucking insane.
And they're like,
Like,
well,
he
none of
still
this
had the
can
matches
actually
in
be
his
connected.
hand.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, he was clearly died to freezing. Which,
Yeah.
whoa. Let's just go into this one a little bit, because this is another alien thing, by the way. That somebody that he was around something that he shouldn't have been, and just got frozen.
I mean,
They just froze him. Freeze raises.
Yeah, and then and police. So yeah, it's so funny because the police were like, it's almost like he was flash frozen. He didn't look scared or anything. Still had matchbook in his hands, and police were like, oh, it's natural causes, freezing to death. He just fucking froze. It happens.
Honestly, I don't even know what he's talking about. You know, it's just he had the matches. It just seems like it was a little oopsie daisies. You know.
It's fucking. Oh my god. The police in this section specifically, like in this section of the world.
This is almost 30 years. More than 30 years of the police being like, what do we do about this one? Nothing. He's dead.
Not connected.
What's going on?
Not connected.
Well, unfortunately, we're gonna have to send something to his family. Are they dead? Yeah, I don't know where they're at. Okay. I just love the one where they just find this dead guy and they're like, we're not even going to try to find out who this was. Whatever, let's go. Let's get out of here.
Right. And then 1946 was John Patterson. This one says never found, but native tribesmen warned them about white figures out in the forest by the river that if they see you, they will kill you. And again, this leads back to that spooky.
Yeah, which I put this under haunting, but like I said, this episode's all over the place. Yeah. But I am a big fan of the underground people theory with this one, where like they're they come through.
I'm not gonna lie.
And everything.
I'm not gonna lie. When I was reading and researching on this one, there's a horror movie like series. It's called Wrong Turn. It takes place in like Virginia and stuff. And that's what I pictured. I was like, is this like a family of like Arctic Hills Have Eyes people? Like,
I don't know. And I thought it was going to be a lot more, like I said, I thought this would be way more popular in terms of media because like, this is again like a great like Wendigo type story.
Oh yeah, this is huge.
Like,
you could do so much with it. We just referenced Hills Have Eyes and Wrong Turn. You could do that. You could do Wendigo. You could do an entirely different creature. You know what I mean?
Well, and
you
it
could
just
make it like
so
a deity.
Interesting because a lot of the times, a lot of the heads, the McLeod brothers also had their heads, like when they found the heads, they were on pikes.
Yeah.
So the reason that people are like, oh, this is like a warlike tribe. Well, the thing is like a lot of people that visit this place have seen what look like the Greys around the area with very gaunt, skinny features, big black eyes, and like they run around on all fours, kind of like the Delver demon.
I was just gonna say Dover demon, Skinwalker, Greys, like
very skinny, very gaunt, but very powerful creatures. So it's one of those things.
This is also
like, just it could be anything.
Yeah, it's also a hot spot because the woods, that big uninhabited stretch of woods there, it could be a Sasquatch. You know what I mean? Like if Bigfoot was like real, that's like a prime area for it to be in. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just one example. It could be any number of, like we said, a haunting, an alien, a cryptid.
And
shit, it could be all three. They're all working together.
They come together to form a bond. I'm just saying. But the thing is like I do like where their head is at with the native tribe thing. But what just throws it for me is the pure force of what it would take. And it's not like they're finding wild horses or wild whatever out here. It's like bears, moose, wolves. You know, it's not like there's like rideable, tamed animals here. It'd be
Right.
something noted, right?
Right. And even though they were kind of cannibalistic, they weren't known to like actively go hunt people. You
No,
know what I mean? Like
no. It was
they just
usually
took
what is it? Tribal cannibalism, where it's
yeah.
within the
Someone
same
was
tribe.
yeah. When someone died, they put their body to use in all the ways they could. Because in that area of the world, resources can be scarce.
And what are they gonna do with a bunch of gold?
Yeah.
Right? Like, unfortunately, the funny part here is like greed of man is kind of what's pushing these people to go up here and do stuff. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's really difficult to kind of like pinpoint what has the strength of this, right? It's be like if a dude had the power of a bear, maybe he could do it. But it's like, again, there's also so many reports of these white creatures in the distance,
Yeah.
in the trees, watching you. And like, I mean, like, there's whole entire people that are like, they see them watching them because it starts to get nighttime. They start to become like active. And
Yeah.
that's horrifying to me. Like, that is something that would scare the living shit out of me, is to look up. And we haven't even touched on the government yet, which we're going to. But so like, imagine you're kind of in this big forest and you're kind of there with your husband, wife, whoever, partner, person, friend, brother, sister, mother, father, whoever, and you're just sitting there and you look up and it's like kind of starting to turn to dusk, and you look up and there's like these creatures just on a mountaintop near a cave entrance, just staring at you.
Yeah. Oh, and that's I don't mean to interrupt, Joey, but that's something that also lends credence to the underground people theory. Is this valley is dotted with subterranean caverns, like 250 of them.
Yeah, there's
That's a
a
lot
ton.
more than is like naturally formed. You know what
Well,
I mean?
like I was saying, we in America have so many missing people and so many caves around those places.
Yeah.
It's actually horrific. Like, to me, I can't stand some things. Like, the underground people theory scares the shit out of me because I don't like tight squeezes already. I'm very claustrophobic and
Oh
I'm very
yeah.
small. So like, I don't. I bet I am a person that could do it with my size, but God, if you put me into like that situation in the story I told in the beginning, that would be the worst nightmare I could ever go through. Being through a cave I can't see, and I'm trying to crawl and feel my way out. That would fuck me up. That to me is like my biggest fear, is going through a cave without a light.
Right, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or you're going through one with a light and then the light dies. Just
Oh,
like fuck.
don't even get me there. That shit fucked me up, dude. But yeah, no, I get it, man. And like, this thing is really crazy. And like I said, by the way, the Canadian government at this point has shut down night visits.
Oh
You
yeah.
cannot
Yeah,
camp
they
there.
finally
You cannot stay there by any means. I think the Nahanni Valley has a entire what's it called?
curfew.
Curfew?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, cuz when 44 people either die or disappear over the span of that many years, turns out you just find out what the problem is and fucking stop it, because the cops weren't doing that, cuz it's not related. I fucking ran down to Tim's, got a box of donuts, and the donuts told me not related.
Yeah. Which
It,
I'm looking through here, and there's so many things, and yeah, like when
and
you're
then there's
going
people that try
through.
to discredit this too, where they're just
Mhm.
like, no, it didn't happen. None of this is real. And you're like, 44 fucking people. Like,
Yeah. Which there is no public roads going through Nahanni National Park whatsoever.
yeah.
The only way that you can view it is via through the air or to hike inside, which
Yeah.
they highly suggest, and even have people with guns. They have their rangers going with guns. if you are not out by 8 p.m., they enforce it with weapons.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy, dude. They're just be walking through, and because of all of that, you know that they're jumpy at night if they have to do that curfew sweep, and so it's gonna be shoot on sight, ask questions later. Like they did name it because it is beautiful, and there is a wealth of flora and fauna there. They did name it a UNESCO World Heritage Site, so I mean it is protected like forever. But it's heavily regulated. That's the
I
word I'm
like to
looking
think
for.
that the reason they did that is because they're hiding something there,
Oh,
or they know
probably.
something, and they're just like, "Oh, it's a protected land. We don't want people here." It's like if we put people here, they die.
Yeah. And coming from someone that lives near a national park, humans are not the smartest when it comes to that national park. Yellowstone rangers have like submitted some of the dumbest questions they've ever been asked, and it's things like, "Can you make the buffalo come around here at a certain time?" Or "I'm running late and I'd like to see Old Faithful go off. Can you just flip the switch and make it go off, please?"
No, one of my favorite is can I jump into any hot spring?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. You can do anything once.
Yeah, you can do anything once. That's fucking true. And I've been up there before, and they are like, "Please stay behind the fence." And then people are like,
Yeah.
"Dude, look!" And then they're like, "Oh God, Fluffy jumped in. He's boiled alive. I'm gonna save my dog." And then they jump in. And you're like,
Yep.
"Well, we got one dog and one person down." Which,
Yeah,
by the
once a
way,
year,
the heat of those
once
things
a
are
year
insane.
there's someone that gets like mauled or tossed by a buffalo. Once a year.
Which, Nate, let me just
Don't
say,
pet the fuzzy tanks.
that shit's it's really scary up there too, because there's a lot of murders that happen up there.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like
it
a
is
lot
very
of
scary.
murders. There's a lot of
Yeah.
murders, and that is like, for me, like, I love the park. I've been there a couple times myself. It's beautiful, wonderful trip to make if you're ever gonna go. I refuse to stay there overnight.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't camp there. There's a town that's like right on the border of
That's
it.
where I go. That's where I go.
Yep, that little hotel there.
Yeah, because I don't fuck with that, dude. Like, I don't want to be strange, and to those that live up in the area, I don't want to offend you, but there, if you live up there, you know the amount of like serial killers that have been up there and been
Oh yeah.
active.
There's a reason they're pretty sure the Unabomber was up here and stuff, you know what I mean? Like there's a reason, like, dude, there's like nothing up here. It's crazy. And it is kind of the Wild West a little bit in some areas, I'm not gonna lie. There was just a intense murder here that like police had to start investigating because police here were like, oh, it had to be a bear attack. It was that grisly. And then somebody found a hatchet just a little bit away. And they were
Well,
like,
this reminds
this
me
was
of
a murder.
the Nahanni Valley reminds me a lot of like those cases where like homeless people in the
Yeah.
woods type deal, where it's like they're kind of like rabbit. You know, they're
Yeah.
searching for food, and they're like, there's a certain murder that I was listening to like a year ago. It happened up in like some national park, and this dude was like with there
On the
was like
glacier.
a scout trip for these girls, and this transient man in a cave just picked off like three of them, and just
Yeah,
like
that's so
murdered them and then
insane.
ate them. And like, to me, like, that this is something that like I get really interested in with like the whole underground thing, because like you would think the only way that we can evolve is to go down, whether it's the water, whether it's, you know, like we have theories of like mermaids, right? Which aliens, just saying.
Aliens are in the ocean. I mean, they confirmed it, and the aliens are mad that we didn't care. Ask the guys in New
I told
Jersey.
you, dude. That's why they're going nuts now. And I'm just saying, I have a written apology, and I just want them to know I care. I care.
I care.
It's in
I'm
my
going to say it right here, right now, for all of our
They're listening.
listeners.
If they're listening,
I
and
care.
if they're one of our viewers, man, appreciate you for doing all your hard work. Your research has gone far. Thanks.
Yeah. If
I'm not looking to get taken, but I appreciate that. The consideration.
if I have any viewers that live near the ocean, I'm gonna need you guys to go ahead and record this episode and then go throw it in the ocean for me so that they can get it. They'll fix it. Don't worry.
Exactly. They'll get it all right. But it's just what a interesting thing, because there many people state that Nahanni Valley is the entrance to Hollow Earth. By the way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because its weather is so extreme that, like, in the wintry months, it's so cold and inhospitable that that guy got flash frozen. But then in the warm months, they say it's damn near an oasis. They say it's almost tropical with the amount of stuff that comes to life there during the warm months.
Well, yeah, and with over 250 subterranean caverns, with 98% of them unexplored.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's not just... So the reason that's really interesting about this one is that just like a lot of people think, and I almost believe this, that the Naha people went underground.
Probably.
And they just stayed and evolved there. And so they evolved into like these skinny, dark-eyed beings, and it's like the Valley of Headless Men is one of those ones that, like, we're talking about it now. It's 8 p.m. where I'm at, where we're at, and it's like, I get the chills talking about it every time. I start getting paranoid, petting my cat.
When they describe what the white creatures look like, and when you talk about them going underground and everything, this definitely, like, this story, I feel like, gives credence almost to, like, the uncanny valley. Like, these things are human. They're still human, these Naha people, but that they're different than human because they've been subjected to something different that has changed them mentally and on a genetic level, basically. And so it gives that like uncanny valley feeling of like, I should fear this even though I don't know necessarily why.
Oh, and I found their version of Sasquatch here, by the way. It's called the Giant of Gunhata, which is a large brown Sasquatch. They're known for their UFO sightings. They're known for the Bigfoot stuff, and yeah, there's like supposedly a predatory bear wolf hybrid out there. So.
Oh man, yeah, that'd be crazy.
I'm telling you, the fucking bears are setting fire. They're fucking the wolves. There's shit going on. I'm scared.
Are you sitting here and telling me that the Nahanni Valley is just bear frat house?
I fuck it. I mean, it might be, Nate. It might. And like I said, I really, really think about the underground people theory with this one a lot. I fuck with it really heavy. I love the thought that there's so much unexplored cavern stuff that, like, these things could have popped up anywhere, and maybe they still have human traits. Who knows? They probably know how to start fires.
Right. And it's... Oh, pardon me. It's important to note, I think, too, that, like, there's a reason people have to go here for anything like this to happen, and it's not touching anywhere around, because the closest city is 311 miles or 500 kilometers away. It's called Yellowknife.
Yep. And I just think it's really funny that the Canadian government, just slams down everything here. Like, they put it's a world marking. You can't visit it unless you go up by hiking, which you have an 8 p.m. curfew, and you have to be there starting at 7 in the morning. If you are not there by 7, you cannot go up, which is enforced by guns.
It's a gun enforced. Yeah, exactly.
And the other way to view it is by helicopter for 10 minutes.
Google Earth.
Because they're like, how fucked does a place have to be that they suggest you do the air stuff instead of hiking?
For real. I feel like it's probably reserved for things like this and like volcanoes. And like that's the only thing I can think of. Like
Is it a volcano? No, it's just got a bunch of cave systems with unknown white creatures and dark-eyed things and deaths and freezing to death near your open flame campfire. They're all decapitated, split in half, ripped apart, died in your sleeping bag, burned, put
Wait a
heads
minute.
on spikes.
Skinny, dark-eyed creatures that are white and from Canada. Is this where Pete Davidson came from?
Maybe. Maybe this is the place. And maybe that's where we have delved the deepest. But I don't know, man. I just...
Pete
I
Davidson.
I God damn it. Yeah, no, man.
But-
It's just, again, one of those ones. This whole story with the Valley of Headless Men fucks me up so hard. Because it's like, I'm terrified of caves already. Caves in dark water. I don't care when people are like, oh, Joey, there's just fish in there. I'm still scared of sea monsters. I don't care. I don't
Right?
fuck
Oh yeah,
with
I
sea
won't go if I
monsters.
can't touch.
Yeah. Give me a rifle and I'm okay to canoe, but am I shooting fish? Probably. But I still feel safer with it. But like my biggest fear would be to see like a giant fucking dinosaur in the water. And that scares me a lot. And like one of the scariest books / movies that I had as a kid was Jurassic Park. I love Jurassic
yeah.
Park. It's one of my favorites, but it is considered a horror movie for me. I hate the thought of like the water stuff. Like in the newest series of it with Chris Pratt in the
Jurassic
first movie, when
World.
they're like, oh yeah, look, it's through the water. It's gonna. Yeah, I had to close my eyes. I couldn't do it. It's a deep fear for me.
I get that anxiety playing certain games that take place underwater, but only certain ones. Like there's ones that
I
are
don't
like
touch
Another Crab's
Subnautica.
Treasure.
I
Oh, yeah,
won't touch
exactly.
Subnautica.
Subnautica's the one I won't do, but Abzu, which is similar, I will do because it's just peaceful. There's no monsters, there's no attacking, there's no, you know what I mean? It's
I don't
just
even
peaceful.
touch that. I don't touch that. I don't touch any game. Like Another Crab's Treasure, that was goated and it's cutesy and I love it and it's beautiful
Right.
and wonderful. But like any time you're like a diver, I won't play it. And like I said, I hate underground stuff. Like those TikTok videos would be like, well, my ass cheeks got about 12 tarantulas crawling up in it. I'm like,
Yeah.
you are far braver than I. I will not do. Now, if you're like Joseph, this is a haunted location. You're probably gonna get possessed. Again, I'm there. Any kind of haunting stuff, I'm there. But if you're like Joey, Valley of Headless Men, there's a camping spot open to anyone, and you're gonna get $5,000 if you survive the night. See, that would be in the description though. If you survive the night.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's I think that's a delve too deep, personally, for me.
I won't do it. Like I said, like I was like sitting here and I was like, I won't do it. I can't even imagine. Like same with like I had a couple times I've gone hiking, and I like to hike, but I'm very clumsy, so I take 2 walking sticks with me. Because I am just too clumsy. I'll fall off. I really will. So like I tend not to hike up mountains very often. But if I'm hiking up one, the last time I went was by one of the mountains here nearby Layton in Utah. And even that had a cave, like a miniature cave, and my brother and his friend went in. I waited outside. I won't do anything, even if I know I can see inside of it. I don't like caves. It's like it feels like the world is swallowing you. Almost.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like
I
a
get
big
it. And with
monster
claustrophobia,
mouth.
yeah, exactly. With claustrophobia too, that make it worse.
Which, like I said, I'm just not that guy. Anything else though, I'm good. Like I love roller coasters. I love like the feeling of being really, really high up and like being strapped in. But You know, like I really like roller coasters. I really like hauntings and fear shows. Like going through. Okay, like I need someone to do this one time. I need to find one. But like a good haunted attraction for me would be purely underwater. That if it was like an underwater type one or like a cave dwelling, you could not catch me dead in that. But I'd still go through it because I think it'd be fun. But yeah, I just think it'd be an interesting thing. But yeah, Joey don't fuck with caves. Joey don't fuck with real life animals, and Joey don't fuck with the Valley of Headless Men. Scary, spooky,
spoopy, 2 spoopies.
and that's all I got on that, man. That's all I have in my info.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of covered everything I had too. This is a crazy one for sure.
I was
and
so
like
surprised
I said,
you didn't know about it. Honestly.
Yeah, exactly. It needs more attention. A movie or two would be good. Documentary series would be good. But like you said, it's also gun enforced curfews and stuff, so it's really hard to get all that done.
And that's just like I said, the government doing all that, they have to know something. And that to me fucks me up the most. Again, it's like when you have like government working that hard to do something, there's something there. Whether or not you believe it in or not, the spiritual stuff or not, like, or the alien thing or the underground people, which we just discovered aliens. I wouldn't be surprised if like we get like, oh yeah, like later on Canada's like, oh by the way guys, mole people.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, all right, well,
especially
like,
coming from a cold,
or
yeah, especially coming from a cold place like that, because underground heat is gonna be there.
Don't say it like that. That fucked me up. Don't say it like that. You were like, there's heat there, and I was like, oh god. I'm just saying, Jesus Christ, there's so much here, and I love the stories. Don't get me wrong, and I love to make fun of them so much because, like, dude, fuck you, goddamn Canadian government. Like, the police force you have is a joke. There, I'm sorry, what a joke to be like, oh yeah, this happened like 4 years ago. The same kind of thing, unrelated. Obviously, he was murdered before he was burned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unrelated.
All right. The other 44 deaths are just like, oh, I mean, it happens. I don't know.
If they didn't want to die, they wouldn't have gone hiking. Well, what were they wearing? No, I'm just kidding.
Nothing, apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently
not a fucking head, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely not that. They don't have a good head on their shoulders. It's just like I said, dude. That's it. That's all I got. I appreciate all the delvers here that have come with us for this journey. It hurt me a lot to do this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the Sasquatch. I know this is a haunting file, but in your deepest, darkest, delvest part of your heart, post it as whatever you want. It could be anything you want in your heart. But for us, it's going to be the haunting, because I think the only thing I can post this as is just a strange occurrence of paranormal activity.
Yeah, we don't have a freaky as fuck files yet, but we'll consider it.
Freak files? But
no, that's a different folder I have. I told you to stay out of it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, it's crazy. But thanks for being on here again with me, Nate. It's always a blast to go through these stories with you, man.
I love doing it. I hope we get to do it forever. And we finally hit double-digit episodes, by the way, with the Sasquatch episode.
We did. And that'll be coming out soon, so look forward to it's probably already out by this time. So, yeah, I definitely did not skip on that. Anyway, next time, guys, come and take a delve deeper as we explore some more stuff. I believe we're on to our next, what is it? I think maybe we want to do something new. Maybe we might do something new. And I really hope to have you guys there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks, guys, for listening. And, of course, remember to subscribe and tell your friends. It helps a ton. Our last Exorcist Curse video is probably our most watched video.
Probably, yeah.
One of the most viewed, and that's really awesome.
Just do what I do, guys, and bring it up at every opportunity. Like, for instance, if you work at a retail job, every time you're, working with a customer, be like, by the way, listen to a Delve Deeper. And don't give them any more context. Be like, just look it up
Nothing
on
else.
YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah. And I myself am looking at some artistries too. I want a beanie. I want a Delve Deeper beanie. So I've been looking at
Dude,
getting
yes.
some people commissioned to get that ready for us, and we'll
Heck
have
yeah.
some. I'm gonna have some for me. I don't know about you,
We'll have to
Nate,
put
but
the caked up chart on something, and now we're gonna have to put arsonist bears on something.
oh, I know, arsonist bear wolves. Oh, hybrid
Yeah.
wolves, bears. Yeah, I need a picture of the wolf with the gasoline, the cigarette, and the lit match.
Yeah, exactly.
But thanks
But
everybody, and I'm gonna say this now. If you guys are ever interested, you guys can go ahead and go check out over on Patchwork Games on our Patreon, and we're gonna have some stuff set up in the next year. That's gonna be our project, is getting some stuff set up over on our Patreon at Patchwork Games
heck
Patreon.
yeah.
And we'll have a lot of stuff there for you, including probably some bonus episodes or special stuff we're gonna talk about that you're probably not gonna get to hear on regular. So think about tossing us a coin next January. Maybe that's your New Year's resolution, giving us some more love, So
And while we're doing shameless promotions, then, if you guys are looking for a voice actor for any voice acting work, you can find me at blizzardwizard.com, BLZZRDWZZRD, or as Nate Blizzard Wizard Swanner on every social media. We're doing shameless promos.
well, if we're sitting here as a podcast team and we're sitting here doing the voices, why not? Why not?
That's right.
We got plenty of stuff, and I'm looking forward to the next one. And thanks, guys. It's been awesome, and this year has been awesome, and I look forward to what we have in store next time on A
Yeah.
Delve Deeper. Goodbye, Delvers.
Bye.